of you have your organizations have moved to the cloud, okay? Cloud apps are going to get updated. You have nothing to do with that. Your vendor is going to update those, whether it's Oracle or anybody else. And guess what? It's going to render your training materials obsolete. And oh, by the way, there's going to be security vulnerabilities. And then when those security vulnerabilities, the patches are applied for those are going to break other things, and that's going to render your training absolutely obsolete. And then there's going to be patches to fix the patches that fix the holes, that fix the other things that were done, and that's going to render your training obsolete. And if you haven't stopped going whew yet, okay, there's a lot of things that are going to render your training absolutely obsolete. You have to accept reality as it is. One of the things I like about this is, do you realize that in race car that there's actually companies that make specialty wrenches that just put on the nuts for cars, depending on NASCAR, Formula One, or whatever racing series you want, and you can only buy those if you're a professional race team. Okay? They have accepted the reality of the situation that they work in, and that rapid change is absolutely essential. So when you say things like, I don't have time to do that, or I just got that done, well, then you're going to have to find a way to change the tools that you use to accept a different thing. So, talking about tools, let's talk about discarding some of the learning myths that fill our toolbox, right? So let's stop believing stuff that things. So let's find out which one of these is good. Okay, so in multitasking, how many people believe that everyone is equally good at multitasking and it's just a matter of training? Want to raise hands? Okay, no? And then so everybody else says that there's just people that are born multitaskers, right? Right? The answer is none. We're not multitaskers. The research says that the brain is a single-threaded CPU. Every time you task switch, you actually are doing exactly what a computer does. You're putting this stuff that's in memory, in working memory, you're saying, okay, put it over here, keep it intact, and then swapping out and doing something else, like unimportant, like driving a car, or texting your friends while you're driving. I mean, important stuff, okay? And then returning back to the unimportant things, right? That's actually how the human brain works, and there is a tremendous amount of research. I would encourage you to go out to YouTube, look at their National Geographic stuff for Test Your Brain. If you've ever seen the gorilla walking through, I won't spill the beans on too many of those, but there's a wonderful video where people, and I'll spill this part because it's pretty well known. There's people passing basketballs back and forth, and they tell you to count the basketball passes for the people in a colored shirt. And meanwhile, right through the middle of it, a guy in a gorilla suit walks through. Okay? And then they ask you at the end of the video, did you see the guy in the gorilla suit walk by? And the reality is you can either do one or the other. You'll either notice the guy in the gorilla suit, or you'll be able to accurately count the number of passes of the basketballs. You can't do both. Okay? You can't task switch that often. Multitasking is a myth. The next one is you remember 10% of everything you read all the way up to 80% of the things that you do. Heard this one? True, false? You're on to me. All right, nope. It was actually originated by G.G. Trexler. And by the way, G.G. Trexler was a marketer. Okay, there's absolutely no research to back this up. And you want, there's actually an outstanding reward for anybody that can do this. So that's Will Thalheimer's website there, Myths and Words. I love that one. Okay. Now let's just go quick through some other ones. Everyone heard about learning styles. Someone's a visual learner, an auditory learner. This is my favorite one. There's actually, I think the number is up to about $100,000. There's a $100,000 reward for anyone that research-oriented can actually prove this. Okay, and I think that's been going on for now. It's been growing, and I think it's been going on for now 4 or 5 years. And trust me, researchers would be after that money if it was true. Okay. The reality is we have learning preferences, okay, but not learning styles. And by the way, think about it this way. How much would you learn from a silent movie? Okay. Or another one that's very popular now, the I learned 70% informally, 20% other, and 10% formally. Wrong, thank you. All right, there you go. I'm not going to recite this to you, but there's two stuff. Urban Myths About Learning and Education is one of the best books I think you'll pick up right now to actually start to dispel some of these things. Tremendous work. That's by a doctor of psychology. And God, I forget his name right now off the top of my head. Okay. Understand adult learners. Andragogy, if you want the formal term. Okay. Malcolm Knowles. So there's the links down at the bottom, but they essentially said adult learners need to know their experience is the basis. All of that says that you don't learn the way kids learn. You come into learning experiences with biases. Those biases color what you learn. Okay? So be aware of that. But I think most importantly is adults are internally motivated. Okay? You don't have to do that. You have to tap in to their internal motivation if you want them to be motivated about taking your training course. Okay. Change. Okay. I'll tell you a story. My father was a carpenter. Okay. And if you ask my father about the tool that he had the longest, do you know what it was? Any guesses? Hammer? No. What? Hands? Yeah. Yeah, he had his hands his whole life. He was a good carpenter. Okay? Yeah, he kept those his entire life. No, what he would tell you is the tool that he kept the longest was this specialty tool that he used about once a month. Okay, and he bought it once as a young professional and he never had to replace it again. But you know what he did? He replaced hammers, screwdrivers, saws, planes. When my father started, hammers, physical hammers, were the tool of the trade. By the time he was done, auto nailers were the thing that he used. Okay? He used hand saws when he started. By the time he was done, circular saws with lasers and all kinds of accurate cuts. He changed tools all the time. And what do we do as trainers? PowerPoint? Really? Okay. UPK? Oh, God, please shoot me. Okay? Okay? Yeah, I know. At 18 years, I had to smile and say, hi, I'm with Oracle, and UPK is great. Okay? Now I don't get to tell that lie. Okay? All right. But look at the tools you're using, and not just tools like Articulate or Captivate or PowerPoint or any of those tools. Okay? Let's look at tools like, do you build your content? Do you buy your content? Do you borrow? You know about open content? Okay? Do you know about open content licensing? You know, there's open source software, right? You know, there's open content licensing. What content development tools are you using? You're using something new, or using something out of the Adobe suite, or using Articulate. Okay, and how much are you doing this? What about curation? Have you thought about public curation methods, private curation? What about wikis? What about social experiments? Okay. What are you doing all that? Because, by the way, remember we said that it's rapid. You need to think differently. So you need to think about the way you're also not only using the tools, but the way that you're preparing the people to use tools. What I'm going to say is, first of all, with the tools, you need to be agnostic. You need to be willing at any moment in time to throw that tool away and say it's no good anymore. I'm going to move forward with this tool. And be honest about it. Okay? But next, you need to think about your interactions between your learning designers, your developers, and your SMEs. You need to stop treating your SMEs as just ask repositories. What you need to do is you need to make your SMEs junior designers. And you need to stop letting your junior designers and your designers overall just be designers. They need to become junior SMEs. There needs to be a movement between the two, because it's the only way that you're going to increase the speed at which this stuff is developed. Okay? So I'm going to say, go look at development methodologies. Get out of ADDIE. Okay? ADDIE should have been shot and put in the grave long ago. Okay? It's a wonderful overall framework. I'm not saying to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but okay, it ends up in design paralysis. So you should be looking at methods, whether you're looking at Agile out of the software world,